It was supposed to be an ordinary night. The quiet hum of October settling over the Stanford University campus, the shadows of ancient trees swaying softly in the moonlight, and the sacred halls of the Memorial Church standing tall and solemn in the heart of it all. But as midnight passed and the silence deepened, something monstrous was unfolding behind those grand wooden doors, something unholy, unforgivable. This is the story of Arlis Perry, a 19-year-old woman, a newlywed, a devoted Christian, and the victim of one of the most chilling and ritualistic murders in American university history. Her life was stolen in a place meant for peace, inside a church no less. And the most disturbing part? It took over 4 decades to identify her killer, and even longer to understand the darkness surrounding her death. Tonight, on Samuel Podcast, we journey into a case cloaked in mystery, spiritual dread, and unrelenting tragedy. We'll walk you through that cold October night, the strange events that led up to her death, and the twisted path investigators took to uncover the truth. This is not just a murder story. This is a story of obsession, hidden darkness, and a killer hiding in plain sight. October 12, 1974. Stanford University, Palo Alto, California. The sun had long set as students roamed the paths of the leafy, prestigious campus. It was just another weekend night, quiet, calm. Arlis Perry and her husband Bruce had only been married 6 weeks. She had moved from North Dakota to California to support his studies in psychiatry. A devout Christian and a small-town girl at heart, Arlis was still adjusting to the vast, liberal culture of California. She worked as a receptionist at a local law firm and spent much of her time exploring the campus, often seeking solace and prayer in the iconic Stanford Memorial Church. That night, Arlis and Bruce took a walk together. It was late, around 11:30 p.m., and during that walk, they had what Bruce later described as a minor disagreement, allegedly about the car's tire pressure. Wanting some time alone, Arlis told Bruce she was going to the church to pray. She walked off, alone, into the quiet dark. That was the last time Bruce saw his wife alive. Hours passed. Midnight came and went. Arlis didn't return home. Concerned, Bruce made his way back to the church around 3 a.m. and found it locked. He contacted the campus police and asked them to check inside. A quick search was done, the doors were all locked from the outside. No sign of forced entry. No reason to suspect anything out of the ordinary. Not yet. It wasn't until nearly 6 a.m., when Stephen Crawford, a campus security guard and former police officer, unlocked the church for the morning, that the horrifying truth came to light. As he walked through the cold silence of the church's interior, he saw something unnatural. A body lay near the altar. It was Arlis. She was on her back, her body partially undressed. An ice pick was driven into her skull, still embedded. Her legs were spread open, and 2 altar candles had been used to pose her in a ritualistic fashion, one placed between her breasts, another inserted in a grotesque manner. Her jeans were removed and arranged across her lower body in a diamond-like pattern. Whoever had done this wasn't just killing. They were making a statement. The setting, the positioning, the tools used, it all suggested something ritualistic. Something possibly satanic. But the truth would prove far more complex and elusive. Detectives from the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office were immediately called in. The crime scene was preserved as best as possible, and a full forensic sweep was conducted. The ice pick used in the murder had been taken from the church's own supplies. Arlis had no signs of sexual assault in the traditional sense, but the positioning of the body strongly implied a sexual component. At first, the investigation looked close to home. Naturally, Bruce Perry, the husband, was questioned thoroughly. But his story remained consistent. His timeline checked out. He had called the police hours earlier, clearly panicked about his wife's disappearance. No physical evidence connected him to the scene. He was ruled out as a suspect. Then attention turned to Stephen Crawford, the guard who discovered the body. He had a history in law enforcement but had been dismissed from his previous job. Crawford claimed he had checked the church earlier that night and found nothing, then locked the doors from the outside. But questions quickly arose: how could the killer have gotten in, or out, if the church was locked? Could Crawford have staged the discovery? Could he have been inside all along? At the time, there was no hard evidence to charge him. No fingerprints, no DNA. He passed a polygraph test. He faded into the background of the investigation, but not from suspicion. And then, the case stalled. Year after year, lead after lead went nowhere. The investigation, shrouded in rumors and theories, began to gain mythical status among true crime circles. Then, something bizarre happened. In the late 1970s, famed serial killer David Berkowitz, the son of Sam, made cryptic comments while in prison. He wrote letters mentioning Arlis Perry by name, claiming her murder was connected to a satanic cult. Berkowitz described details that had never been made public, disturbing hints that suggested he knew more than he should. Investigators met with him, probed his claims, but nothing could be confirmed. Was he telling the truth? Or was it another mind game from a killer who thrived on chaos? As decades passed, the case grew cold. Files collected dust. Witnesses moved on. But the mystery endured. Who would murder a young woman in a church? Who would desecrate her body like that? And why? Then, in the mid-2010s, there was a breakthrough. New forensic technology, specifically, DNA testing using modern methods, allowed investigators to re-examine the evidence from the crime scene. Semen had been found on Arlis's clothing, but until now, no viable match had been possible. In 2016, after decades of silence, the match finally came in. Stephen Crawford. The security guard. The man who claimed to have found her. The man who locked the doors. The man who had been there all along. Authorities moved quickly. In 2018, they obtained a search warrant and descended on Crawford's home. But as they knocked on the door, Crawford knew his time was up. He retrieved a gun and took his own life before they could arrest him. The case was officially closed. The DNA was irrefutable. Stephen Crawford had murdered Arlis Perry. But the questions didn't end there. Why? What was his motive? Was it a crime of opportunity, or something darker? Could Berkowitz's letters have held a grain of truth? Had Crawford acted alone, or was he part of something larger? We may never know. With Crawford's death, many secrets died with him. And yet, Arlis Perry's case continues to fascinate, not just because of the brutality or the strange spiritual overtones, but because of the decades it took to uncover the truth. For 44 years, her killer walked freely. Worked a normal job. Lived among others. All while hiding the most horrific of secrets. What does that say about the nature of evil? That it hides not in shadows, but in plain sight. And what do you think? Was Stephen Crawford acting alone that night? Or was there something deeper at play, something darker than any of us care to admit? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Was justice truly served? Or did we only scratch the surface? If you found this story compelling, eerie, or hauntingly tragic, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Samuel Podcast. Every week, we shine a light on the shadows, exploring the most unsettling corners of real crime and psychological mystery. Until next time, keep questioning, keep listening, and remember. The truth is rarely as simple as it seems.